Hello there everybody, Sam Strains here, welcome back to the Railway and welcome back to another review. Up to date I have yet another Hornby Carriage, although it's a bit more than that. I think it is possibly the tiniest carriage that Hornby have ever produced. Today's carriage was only announced like 5 or 6 months ago, not very long ago. It is a little bit late to be released. I believe September was the original due date. Obviously it's a bit late, but they are here now. So the coach is this. It is the Stephenson's Rocket 3rd class carriage. And I believe these were intended as a cheap alternative to the better, higher class yellow carriages that we've seen in the past. And man, you can tell, can't you, how rough this must have been to travel inside. I mean, there's no cover, so you're totally exposed to the wind and rain. Must have been quite an unpleasant experience to travel by train in one of these, unless it was summer, I suppose, and it would have been quite nice. Anyway, the RRP of these carriages is really quite reasonable, £16.99, and they were available from the retailers for even less. I think £12.99 some of them were. I bought mine from Hornby, though I did pay the RRP of £16.99, which is, I just thought was fair enough. I might as well get one. And I'm glad I did, because there's been trouble with these, that's for sure. I know that many retailers, not necessarily all, but possibly all, have had their initial allocations cut. One retailer says by 20%, which is quite considerable. And this has led to some pre-orders being cancelled. In fact, I've had quite a lot of comments already from people saying, I've had my Stephenson's Rocket Coach pre-order cancelled, which is a great pity. And a very similar thing happened with the previous Stephenson's Rocket train packs. You did hear of people having their orders cancelled over that. There wasn't enough to go around, the prices shot up. It was quite a mess, actually. And the one thing that really made my blood boil about the Stephenson's Rocket situation was the scalping. Now, if you've not heard of scalping, well, lucky you for a start. But yeah, it's the idea that you can go out and buy a model that you don't want, that you're not going to use, that you're not going to enjoy. You buy a model just so that you can bung it on eBay when they've all sold out and the demand is high, and you can make sort of double your money back, something like that. And it sickened me, quite frankly, that anybody in our hobby would want to buy a model that they didn't want with the express purpose of just ripping someone else off. It never sat well with me. And I had a funny feeling that with these coaches, a similar thing was going to happen. So I actually ordered quite a lot of them. I ordered 7, I think, including mine. Now, I've had quite a lot cancelled myself. I think I've only got 4 coming now, and at the moment, I've only got this one. But my intention was I was going to wait for these evil scalpers to come along, and I was going to list one of mine on eBay at the same time for the price I paid and just undercut them and give them a hard time. But now, obviously, since the retailers have had to be cancelling pre-orders, and as far as I understand it, it's through no fault of their own. I believe Hornby has been cutting their allocations. I don't know why, nobody seems to know why. Hopefully Hornby will come out and explain why. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I've decided I'm not going to do my original plan. I'm actually going to sell them directly to you guys. So if you have had a pre-order cancelled, send me a screenshot of your pre-order being cancelled, send it to me via email, and I will sell you one of mine. What do you reckon? I'm going to double the price? No, I'm going to sell them for exactly what I paid plus postage. So I'm not going to be making a penny from this, but I will feel good to know that someone who thought their order was cancelled, in fact, will be getting one of the coaches. And I'll feel better knowing that you haven't had to pay some scalper's price and that they're not going to be making loads of money out of you. I've only got 3, like I say, some of my orders have been cancelled, so it's going to be first come, first served. Just drop me an email if you want one, and drop a screenshot, include a screenshot of where it says your order was cancelled, and I will do my best. I've only got one so far, the others haven't arrived, so I won't take anyone's money until I've got that, but yeah, I'll post them to you at no extra charge, I'll just charge you for the postage. Anyway, let's get away from that, let's have a look at this coach, and we will find out what it's like. So if you've been, you might well have seen a little blue coach like this at the National Railway Museum in York. And yes, they do indeed have one there. However, it is a replica. It was built in 1930, and it's from that replica that all of Hornby's measurements and such were taken. And in fact, you can read all about it on one of Hornby's engine shed blogs. It's actually really interesting. I will link to it down in the description. That does suggest, however, that none of these original third-class coaches were actually preserved. I don't know that for certain, but I think if any of them were preserved, at least in the original condition, then Hornby would have been taking measurements from those and not from the replica. Anyway, that's just a bit of info for you. As you can see, looking through the front of the box, there's no doubt about it. This is definitely one of Hornby's tiniest coaches, isn't it? I'm a bit loath to call it a coach. Maybe I should be calling it a carriage. I'm not really sure what constitutes a coach or a carriage. It seems a bit unimportant, to say the least, doesn't it? Anyway, let me show you the end of the box then, so you can see, first of all, in the top right, that this is a Railway Museum product. I was not expecting to see the brand Railway Museum on there, but yeah, I mean, it does say on the Engine Shed blog that the Railway Museum were very helpful in the sort of measuring process and such, and obviously the carriage is their property, so I guess that makes perfect sense. The product number is R40141. It's an L&MR, if I remember correctly. That's the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, I think. It's the open third-class coach, and yes, it is open. What a horror this must have really been in real life. But no, let's have a look inside then, because there's nothing more to see on the box. So yeah, let's figure out what this is like. How have they done this? I mean, this was only like £16.99 RRP. That makes it around the same price as a wagon, doesn't it? Just a typical Hornby Railways wagon. And it's actually about the same size as well, which is quite incredible to say it's a passenger coach. Okay, so we have a little detail pack. Inside there is a set of couplings. I couldn't see this when I was peering through the front of the box. I was worried that they hadn't included them, but they have. That's really good, and there's actually two inside there. So yeah, I'm actually building a nice little collection up of these, which is good because it's something I expect to lose, but I haven't actually lost one yet, so I guess that's going well. Right, let's figure out what this little baby is like then. And little baby is probably the right phrase. Wow. Okay, so the first thing I've noticed is that this thing is so intricate. I really love how intricate this is. It's also incredibly light. I assume the vast bulk of this model will be made of plastic, and for once that is absolutely fine. Obviously, the Hornby Stephenson's rocket is unique in that it's a very light and weak locomotive, and so any rolling stock designed for it needs to be pretty light as well, otherwise it's not just going to manage. I will be really interested to see if the Stephenson's rocket can handle this and all of the other coaches that I have for it too. Can it handle 4 coaches? I'm not too sure. But yeah, this thing is really, really nice. The decoration looks excellent. The level of detail looks really quite impressive for a thing of this size. And frankly, for the price, I cannot see myself being disappointed in this. So we will take a close look at this and some of the details, and after that we will get it down onto the track and find out how this thing performs. So there it is then, up close and personal for you, the Stephenson's Rocket third class coach. And I have to say, what a lovely little object this is. What a bizarre little object this is. The colour is just totally unusual, isn't it? It doesn't match Stephenson's Rocket particularly, doesn't match anything I've ever seen. Yeah, there were interesting folks back in the 1800s, weren't they? But all that aside, I absolutely love this little thing. It's just so nifty, isn't it? Not something I think anybody thought they would ever see in 00 gauge, and yet here it is. Okay, the first thing is really impressive actually, and it's not something I ever thought I would say, but I am amazed by how light Hornby have been able to make this model, frankly. Now, yeah, usually those words would never pass my lips, right? Normally when you spend an awful lot of money on these expensive models, it's pretty infuriating when you get them out and they're light as a feather. However, this one gets a 100% pardon on that. First of all, because it wasn't dreadfully expensive. Like I say, £16.99 RRP, something like £12 from the retailers. That's not bad at all. And if they had have, I don't know, fashioned this out of real wood or something, nobody's Stephenson's Rocket would be able to haul the thing. So the weight is amazing. So listen to this, it weighs in at 11 grams. Now, this is about the size of a typical Hornby Railways wagon. A typical Hornby Railways wagon weighs 25 grams. And you know what? The 2 axles inside here weigh 6 grams, which means that the actual wagon itself only weighs 5. The weight is absolutely amazing and not in the way you would usually expect. The level of detail then, again, given the weight and the price, is really quite nice. Look at the decoration here. You've got this black lining in between the panelling. It really is so incredibly sharp, very much so. And in fact, there's black lining over quite a lot of the model, which looks really nice. The only quality issue really I can see is the lining on the underframe. You can see that that is very definitely on the wonk. Besides that though, there's nothing particularly cheap or feeble about the model in any way. It's actually really nicely put together. You've got these they're hinges I believe. The top bits are hinges on the real thing, I believe. I believe they are separately fitted. They're not metal or anything like that, but they are at the very least separately painted, which looks really nice. You've got all of these steps on the underframe to help the poor third-class people climb up and climb inside. I honestly don't know why any of them would want to. One thing I didn't realise, no seats. It's just, they're literally like pigsties, aren't they? Just 3 pigsties, wooden panelled floor, which looks pretty nice, by the way, and you can even see where the doors would be on the inside, which is interesting, but no seats or anything like that. I mean, man, you imagine if you bought a third-class ticket these days, or second class or whatever, and there wasn't even a seat or a roof over your head. Man, I guess people were much less fragile back in the 1800s. But then again, what a luxury it must have been to be on a railway, I suppose. The underframe is really impressive as well. Look at, you can see all these suspension springs and the detailing around there. That looks fantastic. If I flip it over, you can see there's all sorts of detail going on underneath. Notice the total lack of brakes. I really don't think these had any brakes. I really don't think brakes were a concern. I don't even know if, I think Rocket might have had like a handbrake or something, but vacuum brakes, even mechanical brakes, forget it, as far as I'm aware. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The buffers are separately fitted and they're also made of metal, which is really nice. And if you look at a photo of the buffers on the real thing, these really do capture the look really, really nicely. They're not sprung or anything like that, and that is typical of the real thing. Not sprung, I mean, this isn't designed to be comfortable, this is designed to be painful by the looks of it, so sprung buffers had to be out straight away, I would say. But yeah, I mean, it looks great, doesn't it? It really does look great. For $16.99 or less, and please don't pay more, this is absolutely fine. I really do like the look of this. And it seems, here on the bit of track I'm using, it seems to be really free rolling. So I actually have some hope that Rocket will be able to manage this in addition to the 3 coaches she's already got. But who knows, I could be wrong. Let's get it onto the track and let's find out. Alright, so the Stephenson's Rocket train pack is on the track already, and I've taken the liberty of coupling up all the coaches, which means you don't have the immense joy of watching me couple those up. One of my favourite jobs. But let's put the new coach on. Let's just check. I mean, look, that is really nice and freewheeling. And now I'm going to attempt the devilish task of coupling this onto the back of the train. And while I do that, please enjoy this highly irritating music. Oh. I was expecting the irritating music to be going on for hours, actually, because it's normally taking me ages, but no, I think I've actually done it straight away. Yeah, I have. Well, sometimes irony and bad luck work in my favour, don't they? But right, okay, now let's have a look at the Stephenson's Rocket train with +1. Look there, that's really quite something, isn't it? I'm not sure what the formation would be in real life, but yeah, I don't think that looks bad, does it? Right, well, let's get the Rocket started then with its 4-coach train, and the big question is, can it manage this train up Gordon's Hill? Let's find out. Forwards we go then, set the controller forwards, and we will try it at 50% speed. There she goes. Here we go. And I should say, I don't think Triang ever made one of these coaches, so this is the first and only time you could have ever had a Hornby third-class coach on the back of Stephenson's Rocket, and look there. More than enough power, right up Gordon's Hill. I bet the BT well tank couldn't have even done that. Yeah, that looks great, doesn't it? Really, really good. I just can't believe it's acting as though there's not an extra coach there at all. Really, I wasn't sure if it was going to actually make it, but I reckon I could add a couple more and still be fine, you know. I'm not. I think one's more than enough for me. It's just a nice thing to have, isn't it? But no, I mean, really, if your layout is better than mine, which is easily done, you won't have any trouble. I reckon you could haul 2 or maybe even 3 of them, in addition to those 3 coaches it's already got. Very well done, Hornby. Well, I can't fault it, really. It was inexpensive, looks fantastic, really nicely detailed, works exactly as it should. I'm happy. I'm happy. Alright, let's have some ratings then for the third-class wagon. Level of detail I've given 4-star. I was quite impressed actually with the level of detail. If you do compare it with the photos of the real thing, you'll notice it's missing some of those little chains, little tiny details, some of the wood panelling, for example. But overall, it's a really faithful representation of the little carriage in real life. It looks just like the one I saw at the NRM. It's quite eerie, in fact, seeing such a tiny version of it. The performance I cannot fault, and the train runs as it did before the extra coach was added. I mean, that's exactly what you want. I was genuinely surprised that Rocket did not struggle more with this. So that's really, really impressive. The quality I've given 4-star. I mean, I can't give it 5 because of that little sort of decoration hiccup on the underframe, but generally the quality's fine. Yes, it is quite plasticky, but that's reflected in the price, and I particularly like the inclusion of those metal buffers. It's a little bit unnecessary even, but it's little touches like that that make a difference between cheap, nasty products and quality products. I really like that. Value for money then. Now, I think it's only just deserving of a 5-star. Maybe I've been a little bit generous here, but I am going to give it 5-star. I mean, the price, the RRP, $16.99, that's very comparable to just a Hornby mineral wagon, except the level of detail is much higher than on a mineral wagon. They're only making a small number of these as well. I think that price is really quite impressive, and given all the features I've mentioned, I think it's absolutely fine. And like I say, that's the RRP. If you got them from a retailer, you'd get them even cheaper. It is a pity that these are made in such limited numbers, but at least it demonstrates that even when a model is made in small quantities, the price doesn't have to skyrocket. That's an argument used against me all of the time. Well, thank you Hornby for proving that incorrect. Overall then, that is a reasonably good score of 8.81 out of 10. Let's put that into the logbook. There it is, 4th just above the Hornby mineral wagon, talk of the devil, and below the Hatton's Warwell wagon. Overall, really pleased with this. Yeah, overall, what a lovely little extra. I don't think anybody saw it coming, but it really does complete the set really nicely. And don't forget, the version that Rails announced was going to be £39.99, so the price is really, really hard to argue with. Really hard. Whoa, look at that, it was struggling there. I've slowed it down to 40%, but it's still doing it. Amazing. Well folks, I hope you enjoyed that video. Again, I'm so sorry to everyone who's had pre-orders cancelled. It's just a silly state of affairs, isn't it? I wish I knew why, and I hope there is a good reason for it. But my message is, do not bow to the scalpers. If you see these on eBay for like loads more than the RRP, try to resist, because if everybody resisted, then the scalpers wouldn't be able to get away with it. It only takes one person to bend and pay the silly money, and that's enabling them, isn't it really? But yes, let's hope Hornby make more models to go around in the future, so that we don't have to have pre-orders cancelled and everybody gets these lovely models. The worst thing in the world is thinking that you've secured a model only to then have your order cancelled. That is really bad. But anyway, there's at least 3 people who I can take that worry away from. It's not exactly much of a worry in the grand scheme of things in the world these days, but you know, it's a little nice thing, isn't it, in an otherwise pretty horrible world. So yeah, before we get all like philosophical about this, we'll leave it there, I think. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers everybody.